I, Alpha and Omega, want to speak about a time for everything. Everything happens in its time. Time in this world happens at the time of God's choices. I, Alpha and Omega, want to continue. He sets a time for birth and a time for death. A time for planting and a time for pulling up. The time for killing and the time for healing. A time for tearing down and a time for building. He sets a time for sorrow and the time for joy. He sets a time for mourning and the time for dancing. A time for making love and a time for not making love. A time for kissing and a time for kissing and a time for not kissing. He sets a time for finding and a time for losing. A time for saving and a time for throwing away. A time for tearing and a time for mending. A time for silence and a time for talking and a time for talk. He sets a time for love and a time for hate. A time for war and a time for peace. I, Alpha and Omega, want demons to stay away from this man. This man here is doing what I want. I, Alpha and Omega, want demons to stay away from this man. This man here is doing what I want. I, Alpha and Omega, will remove the devil and the demons from this man. I, Alpha and Omega, say that this man here will go to heaven. I, Alpha and Omega, love humans that listen to me. That's what I, Alpha and Omega, have to say.